Well, oh my gosh, I'm so pale. We have a bit of a sun problem. It's not, you know what, I'm not even gonna call it a problem because I'm so happy to see the sun. I didn't see it all weekend. It's been gloomy. However, it doesn't make for great lighting. And like, I don't wanna close my blinds because then I use all my natural light. So I think, you know what, y'all, we're just gonna roll with it. And if it bothers you, I'm so sorry. I guess I'll see you in my next video when maybe then the sun will be behaving more. Actually, you know what? It's not even misbehaving. You're doing great, but it's just creating a little bit of something here. As you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about today books that I have been obsessed with lately. So I did a video like this back at the beginning of the year. I looked back, it was all the way back in March. So I had just talked about some of my favorite books that I had been reading at that point. And you know what? I have really like come out of my slump and I'm on the other side, and I've read so many books that I am like in love with right now that I wanted to talk about some of them. This wasn't the video I was planning on doing today, but then I woke up this morning and I was like, I just feel like filming this video. I just want to talk about some books that I've been loving lately. So let's go ahead and run through them. What do I want to start with? I didn't put these in any particular order. So first up that I would want to talk about is Was I Ever Here by Naomi Loud. So this one I read back in the spring and I was just blown away by the writing in it. So this one follows Sunny, and I cannot remember how to pronounce his name. I think it's Bazantine. I'm definitely saying that wrong. So sorry. I'm gonna call him Baz for the sake of this video because I don't remember if he had a nickname in the book or not. And when I looked up his name to like make my little notes, I was like, I forgot what you're called. So Sunny and Baz. So anyways, one is a bit of a darker romance, a little bit stalkery kind of, but like not as aggressive stalkery. So Baz is our hero in this one, and the book actually starts with him bleeding out and dying. And it's like, oh, how are you dying and then going to be our hero? Like, is this getting into paranormal territory? No. However, when he dies, he ends up seeing his life, but like tons of lives flash in front of his eyes. And in every single lifetime, he has found his soulmate in it, but their love has never been able to end happily. And so now he has this new chance at life. He is still alive, whatever. And he is, you know, a bit of a bad, well, he's not really a bad guy. He's in some organized crime things. And actually when he is taking someone out at a bar, not like taking someone out, but like taking someone out, you know, like he ends up locking eyes with the bartender, and he realizes that this is his soulmate across lifespans, that this is the soul that his soul is always connected to. And obviously that's a little bit jarring for Sunny, and he can't really quite explain that to her, that it's like, hey, you're my soulmate and I've actually seen us together in tons of lifetimes. And Sunny is just really not, she's not in a good space in her life. She's had some struggles. I don't want to spoil anything about her backstory. I want you to read it and like get it authentically. But let's just say Baz is not so easily just going to let Sunny go. So he starts, you know, following her a little bit. She kind of gets tied up in their organized crime a little bit, and it's their romance. This truly, it's just, the writing was so absolutely beautiful. These characters were really well done. It's very much a character-driven story. If you're looking for soulmates, I mean, these two are the soulmates because they literally have spent lifetimes trying to find each other. And finally in this lifetime is when they have found each other again and are really trying to like make it work. It's so beautifully done. I'm very excited to keep going in this series. I think there's two more. I don't know if there is going to be any more, but I really, really loved this. And for this being Naomi Loud's debut novel, I was like completely blown away by it. Next, I'm going to talk about two here because they're from the same series, and that is Unfurl and Undulate by Elodie Hart. So let's talk about Unfurl first. So this is the Alchemy series, and I'm currently reading book 3. I started it last night, and I could not put it down. I almost got to like 50%. I literally couldn't put it down. It's so good. I am obsessed with Elodie Hart's writing. So Unfurl is the first one, and this one follows Belle and Rafe. So Rafe is a spicy club owner, and he ends up meeting his neighbor's daughter, and you know, she's very young, innocent, whatever. That happens to be Belle. So she was raised in a very religious household. She went to an all-girls school. She made it through college, whatever, and now she's working at an art museum or like an art gallery or something. And she's just like, you know what, I am a woman in my 20s. I want to have some experiences. I'm sick of feeling like repressed by my parents and my parents' religion, and like having that repression just weigh heavy on her. And she's, you know, like, you know what, she finds out that Rafe's club club has this certain service called the Unfurl program for people who are looking to get some experience in a safe way. And she ends up signing up, and she is very attracted to Rafe, and she's trying to, like, you know, get him to be with her, but he's like, I can't do that to you, you know, like, you're too innocent, I can't corrupt you. But then as soon as she signs up, he's like, well, I'm not gonna let anyone else run her program, and it ends up being their romance. This is so good, so hot. I describe this one like if you love Salacious Players by Sarah Kate and Priest by Sierra Simone, this is their love child, and it's amazing and so good, and read it. And then, so my favorite of the two that I've read so far, but I really enjoyed Undulate as well, so I'm going to talk about this one too. So this one follows Maddie and Zach. You don't have to read this one in order to read this one. They're complete standalones within the world. And Zach is another owner of the club. He's more of like the numbers type guy, and he is still grieving. He lost his wife a couple of years ago, so he's now a single father to his 2 young daughters, and he just hasn't really gotten back out there to explore anything since his wife died. However, when Maddie becomes the company's new intern, who Maddie is Belle's best friend, she instantly attracts Zach's attention. However, he's like, there's no way. She's too young for me. She's definitely very free in herself, and she loves to like explore the club, and she's just very open about that. And he's like, this just could never work between us. Like, I could never be with her. However, Maddie's very into Zach, and she's like, come on, you need to like get back out of your shell a little bit, get out there. And she basically offers him a proposition of being like, I know that you're not ready for anything like emotionally, but are you ready for something physically? And like, let's start being together. And of course, you know that the feelings never don't come into play, so it ends up being their romance, and I really loved this one too. And like I said, I'm reading Unveil right now, and already I can tell it's gonna be a 5-star. I'm loving it. So love that entire series. If you haven't checked it out yet, again, it's equal parts like super spicy, but also good plot and like good character development and good like emotional development between all the characters, which sometimes I feel like can lack in some of those like club type romances. But in these ones, truly the characters feel very connected to each other while also having like a really hot dynamic, you know? Next up, we got That Sick Love by Jessie Hall. So this one is the darkest one I've talked about so far. So if you've been waiting for a dark one, here you go. So this one is a dark stalker romance, and again, with some like religious trauma and like cult themes involved in it. So this one follows Arrow and Briony, and Briony is getting ready to become a leadership position in this cult that she has been raised and been a part of, and she's really like excited about it. She still is buying into, sorry, Carrie SoDo. She's really buying into like everything that they've told her, and she just is like, she's still in it pretty deep, but she starts getting some notes from a stalker, and that turns out to be Arrow, and he is really trying to be like, you are in danger. They don't want you in a position like this. Like, you need to get out. You need to open your eyes. You need to see that like everything that you've been taught and been raised into is not how it has to be and not how it really is. And he's really trying to protect her, but he's just going about it by being a little bit of a crazy stalker, which I love. And I'm gonna leave it at that because honestly there is so much more to this book, but I remember I went into it kind of blind, and I liked that because I got to get more of Arrow's backstory, more of Briony's backstory, and really just learn that through their eyes. And I think that's how you should try to read it. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Absolutely loved this one though. This might be on my top 10. Actually, some of these might be on my top 10, but this one I think definitely is going to be making an appearance on that list because it was just so good, so dark, so hot, so toxic at times between them. Oh, I love it. And I truly love when a hero pushes the heroine to her breaking point because he knows that she's capable of it and knows that she can push herself and then pull back in. It's so good. Next up, My Life in Shambles by Karina Halley. So this one follows, what was her, Valerie and Podrick. I think I'm probably saying Podrick's name wrong. So sorry. I don't know what else to say about it. But anyways, so Valerie is kind of down on her luck a little bit. So she actually just broke up with her fiance or her boyfriend. I can't remember, but she was in a very serious relationship with him. They lived together and they end up breaking up. And then shortly after that, Valerie also finds out that she loses her job. So when she goes home for the holidays with her family, her 2 sisters are getting ready to go on a trip to Ireland, and they're like, you don't really have any reason to say no anymore. And Valerie's like, you know what? you're right. And I need to start saying yes to more things in my life. And I need to stop just like being so focused on work or this past relationship, and I really need to do something for myself. So she agrees to go. And when they're out at a bar one night, she ends up meeting Podrick, and he happens to be a very famous rugby player over there. She is not aware of this, but they kind of hit it off. They have a great night. They end up having a one night stand. And when they wake up the next morning, they realize that they don't really want to part. And Podrick actually then hits Valerie with a proposition to be his fake girlfriend or fake fiance, to go home with him to his dad. And he has his own reasons for that. I'm going to leave you to read this and find out what those are, but it is a little bit of a fake dating kind of situation. Let me just tell you with this one, what I truly loved about it so much was the emotional connection between these two characters was so palpable and beautiful. Even in that first night together, when they are literally having a one night stand, they've known each other for like less than 12 hours. And they still have such an emotional depth to their connection, which I don't know how Karina Halley wrote it. Honestly, it is beautifully done. You feel the chemistry between these two characters. You don't just read it, and I love that. I love their entire journey. It's way more emotional than I thought it would be. This was just a goddamn beautiful book, and I loved it. So please check it out. It's amazing. I totally get why so many people love it. Okay, next one we got here. So here's the thing. This one isn't necessarily, it's not a romance, but it is so good and I can't not talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it anyways, but if you want to skip forward, I totally understand. But I still highly recommend reading it. And that is Carrie, SoDo's Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this one, there is a romance subplot in there, but there's like no spice. And it's like not focused on her romance, okay? It's like, there's a romance in it, but it's just not the main part. And the main star of the show is Carrie SoDo. So Carrie SoDo was a very successful tennis player, and she has been in retirement. However, when one of her titles is being threatened to be taken over by this other very successful tennis player in the game right now, Carrie decides that she is going to be making a comeback, and she's going to come back to tennis to defend her titles. And it is her journey doing that. And I don't even know what else to like say in it. She's a little bit older in the sport now. She faced a lot of sexism in her career and still is facing a lot of that even now. She was known as, she was called like a bitch and known as being like a very cocky or like arrogant kind of player. However, in my personal opinion, as a Carrie SoDo defender, she was just being honest. She was the baddest bitch of them all. So why can she not say that? If she was a man, it would have been fine. So anyways, making her comeback, and some people are not very happy about it. Some people are happy about it. And it's her and her dad is coming back on to be her coach. And it's her journey, just making her way back into the sport. It's so fucking good. This is my current favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I've read so far. I feel like every single one I end up liking more than the last, but I think this one is going to be my favorite. I love Carrie. I love a heroine that is supposed to be unlikable, but I just can't help but love her. Because you know what? She can back it up. She talks the talk, but she can back it up, which is what I appreciate. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. I know not as many people are going to be interested in this one, but it's so good. I had to throw it in there. So what do we have next? Oh, we got Garen Park and Lot 62 by Nordica Knight. It's the first two in the From Nothing series. However, this one like completes these two characters' books. So it's kind of like a duet, but I think there's going to be a third book following some side characters from this one, which I'm chomping at the bit for. But let's talk about Garen Park. This one follows Maddox and Devin, and it's an true hate to love romance, true enemies to lovers romance. So Maddox and Devin, they are both motocross racers, and they were raised by their fathers to hate each other in the sport because they were always the top dogs, like competing for top spot and mostly competing for prize money, which in Garen Park is very valuable. It's a trailer park, and neither of their families were very well off financially. Maddox's dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict, so he would pretty much like gamble and like spend all their money. And Devin's dad is a piece of garbage, and he would just basically steal all of his son's money and again like go gamble it away, whatever. Neither of them come from very great home lives, and so they have been trained to just hate each other. So they take it out on each other. They beat each other up. They're fighting with each other. They're roasting each other in front of people all the time. They truly hate each other. But let me tell you, something starts to shift a little bit, and they start to maybe realize like, am I kind of attracted to you? And that kind of shifts a little bit when Devin ends up showing up at Maddox's trailer one night, almost dying. He's stabbed, he's bleeding, he's severely beat up, and he's actually looking for his older brother because their older brothers are best friends. So that's who he was trying to find, but the brothers are nowhere to be found. So Maddox is like, get in here, I'm gonna help take care of you. And Devin's dad was the one who did this to him, and he immediately, you see you see how much Maddox is still like, I hate you, but like get inside and let me save your life, and like I am pissed at your dad because he did this to you and whatever. And there's some caretaking, he ends up taking care of him, and after that point they start to realize like maybe we're attracted to each other, but also that hate does not leave. So even though they start lusting after each other, they still hate each other, and they're still like beating each other up, they're still like having fights all the time, but their relationship moves into a new place. It is just so good. These characters, their dynamic was intense from start to finish. They never lost that like spark or that bit of rivalry between them, even when they started falling in love. They never stopped wanting to get under each other's skins, but also then like wanting to, you know, like please the other one. It was so good. These honestly could potentially be my top reads of the year. I can't stop thinking about them. Every single time these two interacted, they like had me in the palm of their hand. Every single time I put both of these books down, every single time I came back to it, I still felt that same spark to it. It was just so good. I can't say enough good things. Just read these freaking books. You're not gonna regret it. And every single time they grabbed each other's throats, unwell. You know what? I was actually gonna talk about this one, but I'm gonna be doing a spooky reads. So actually I think I'm gonna save that. We're gonna save it. And you know what, we're just gonna go into the last one then, because I think I've already talked about a decent chunk of books. So next and last one that I'm gonna talk about is The Wicked by Rosie Alice. So this one is a student-teacher age gap romance, forbidden romance, obviously following Penelope and Hayden. So Penelope ends up back in her hometown to become a high school teacher, and she has some reasons for being there. Her family, I think it's her dad is maybe sick, so she's not in the best space when she goes back home, and she's kind of like, this isn't even really like her dream job, but she needs the job. And she's just kind of back home and just trying to like figure her way out in life a little bit. She's still young, she's in her early 20s. And one night when she is out at a bar or like a club, she ends up meeting Hayden, and he is just a whole trip. He's a whole trip. This is so toxic. It's such a toxic romance. And Hayden is really struggling in life. His dad is very wealthy, so like he's very well off, whatever. He has all of like his basic like material needs met. However, his dad could not give a shit less about him. His mom passed away when he was younger, and his dad blames him, and his dad just like basically writes him off. So he's home alone a lot, and he's just always kind of seeking to like feel something. So he finds that through partying, through drugs, through alcohol, through women. And when he ends up meeting Penelope, oh, they're starting to mow the grass. Actually, this is perfect that I'm wrapping this up, so you might hear that in the background a little bit, but we're close to being done here, y'all. And they end up meeting at a club, and they end up hooking up, and it just kind of spirals from there over the summer. And when Hayden realizes that Penelope is his teacher, he does not tell her, and he decides to wait to surprise her with that when they get back to school. And safe to say it doesn't go over well, and it ends up being their romance. I loved this book. It's so toxic. It's so messy. Hayden is not like a good boyfriend, but I love it. And there's just some things in this book that I really, really loved that I don't want to give away, but y'all know I'm just such a sucker for a student-teacher romance on top of it being a toxic romance. Oh, sickening. Loved it. Loved it. Oh my God, how did I forget about By Virtue I Fall? Also forgot about Secrets and Masks, literally like your top rate of the year, you dum-dum. Okay, you know what, actually, we're gonna tack on By Virtue I Fall quick. I don't know how I forgot to include that one. But By Virtue I Fall by Cora Riley, this is the third book in the Sins of the Father series. However, it can be read as a standalone. You just get a richer experience, I think, if you've read the parents' books. You can still read this one and be just fine. And this one is a mafia bodyguard romance. This one follows Anna, and she is the daughter of the Chicago capo. So she knows her duties as being the eldest daughter of that family, and she ends up being in an arranged marriage with a politician's son, and to kind of like, you know, maneuver into the political space a little bit. However, their family, not Anna's family, but the dude's family, they're not like this traditional kind of mafia family. So they're like, we're not gonna like marry our kids off as soon as they turn 18. We're gonna like engage them, but then give them both a couple of years to like explore whatever. So Anna takes this opportunity to go to fashion school in Paris, and she needs someone to accompany her, obviously, and that happens to be her bodyguard, Santino, who Santino did not really want to be Anna's bodyguard in the first place. He wanted to be an enforcer. However, if your capo asks you to do something, you just say yes. So he's been Anna's bodyguard for years, and she has had a crush on him for a long time. She has been making advances on him for a long time, and he just always shoots her down. He does not really like her that much. He's like, you know what, you're just like a kid that I'm stuck being like watching, and you know, I don't really care. However, now that she's 18, they're in Paris together, she really ramps up her advances, and Santino finally reaches the point that he just can't resist anymore. But let me tell you, the angst and the tension between the two of them as he denies her is so good. So good. It's like palpable, and you're just like, Santino, come on, I get it. You have like a moral code, but just give in, please. And yeah, their situation obviously is a no-no because 1, Anna is engaged, and 2, you don't do that with your capo's daughter, especially not when it's very much like, you know, like the traditions of the mafia. It's so good. So good. Absolutely loved it. It gave me those same like kind of feelings that I got when I read the Born in Blood Chronicles and the Kimura Chronicles, which are the parents' books. And it was just, I loved it. I loved it and was very pleasantly surprised because I didn't love the first 2 in the series, but this one really knocked my socks off. So anyways, that now is it for all of the books that I've been obsessed with lately. So yeah, like I said, actually I realized now, I'm like, was I gonna do Spooky Rex on Friday maybe? So I don't know. We'll see. You'll get a video on Friday. Sorry I missed last week, but I was traveling for work, and then by the time that I got home from work, I didn't feel like filming. So you only got 1 video last week, you'll get 2. And then next week I have a different type of video going up, and yeah, whatever. So it'll either be Spooky Rex or it'll be my favorite tropes with some Rex for each. We'll see. So anyways, that is it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.